Imagine having the curse of power and knowledge, and yet even you are afraid of what's inside something you cannot change. Imagine an army so powerful they've won before they've even existed. Imagine your greatest sacrifice being your immortality. Guardians, sit back and relax as I talk about one of, if not the most, hated and forgotten expansions in all of Destiny's history, the Curse of Osiris. Before we begin, it's important to note that the Curse of Osiris was and still is considered the black sheep of Destiny expansions, as it supposedly did little to add on to Destiny 2 experience, and it left Crucible players in the dust with only 2 maps added, and the 3rd map being PlayStation exclusive. Kinda like what Gambit players are going through now, but that's a topic for another day. Basically, Curse of Osiris, alongside the Warmind, were pre-planned DLCs that were meant to be purchased alongside the game or after beating the Red War. Pretty much the same mistake was made where Destiny 1's whole point of existence was to sell DLCs later. This already put a bad taste in Guardians' mouths as they played Destiny 1, and that wasn't received well for doing that kind of sales practice. And not only was this repeating in Destiny 2, but Curse of Osiris barely provided anything for the price of $20. Now, at least it became free sometime around 2019 alongside the Warmind, but that doesn't matter as it has been sunsetted since 2020. So for us Guardians who started after Beyond Light, let's review what we really missed out on and why Curse of Osiris is so forgetful. At the beginning of the story, you watch a cutscene of Osiris and his ghost Sagira peeking around Mercury in stop time, which I'm not really sure if they explained it at all, but whatever. He yells curse words at his magic Rubik's Cube, and then the Vex notice the light coming from Sagira's ghost, and then they start moving in said stop time. They get into a big fight, and he uses this yellow solar ability, which is basically Daybreak, but yellow. And then he spews nonsense about how there's no time and throws Sagira into basically a Terminator portal. And she gets shot. She's found broken in the middle of the Mercury Desert and she returns to Akora Ray. Somehow. We find out Akora Ray was Osiris' disciple, and Osiris was the most intelligent and powerful warlock pretty much ever. And he was more stuck up than Zavala, which is insane. He was kicked out of the last city, but you're not really told why yet. Ikora sends you on a secret mission to answer a distress call from Brother Vance, one of the Osiris' followers, and he gives you the set coordinates to the Osiris temple. You take Sagira there to figure out how to revive her, even though she's not really dead, and you go to this podium where somehow Sagira fuses into your ghost shell and talks to you. Now the story already sounds a little weird, but of course it's hard to describe something when you personally never had a chance to play it. Sagira helps you try and track down Osiris, and she shows you a bunch of clones that are meant to find the correct path in the
Infinite Forest.
What's that? Just a massive Vex maze. That's
infinite.
Most, if not all, Guardians who have stepped into the Infinite Forest have never made it back out. Hiding within the Infinite Forest is Panotis, the Infinite Mind. I think I said that right. Which is behind the forest by planting seeds. Now, not these tiny little baby tree seeds, but a massive Vex seed that creates simulated and generated realities, which is how the Infinite Forest was made, and plans on using that knowledge to take over the real universe. Now, by this point, the rest of the story is figuring out how to traverse the Infinite Forest and defeating Panotes once and for all. Personally, I don't think there's too much to say about this story, but story isn't all that matters in an expansion, of course. Obviously, there was barely anything for the Crucible, as I've mentioned before, so what else is there? Well, 2 new strikes, in which the bosses were easy to beat. IGN said any experienced fire team could beat them in just seconds. A redeeming quality IGN reported, however, was the raid, with convoluted puzzles and a challenging boss. Well, considering how that's the norm for a raid, I'm not really impressed, which basically summarizes Curse of Osiris as a whole. I also think it's a little weird it's a second consecutive raid about the same location, being the Leviathan. However, you're at the engine instead of the castle. Whoop-de-doo. All in all, the DLC was rated a 5.5 by IGN, and just from watching the gameplay and reading from the Destinypedia, it seems like I'll have to agree. On one hand, I do wish I could have experienced it because content is content, but then on the other hand, bad content is still just bad content. And if I was a veteran player from 2017, I probably wouldn't find anything to write home about with this DLC, maybe other than just how disappointed it was. But that's basically the whole rundown for Curse of Osiris, in case anybody has forgotten. Subscribe if you haven't, and if you don't agree with my opinions, tell me why in the comments. Peace out.